doing it. You supposed to be happy you sitting there with Kid L. Why you mad?
The Kid L Podcast.
Rockin' and rollin', the legendary Filthy Rockwell is in the building, man, and he brought some gifts. This is insane. These are a bunch of tapes. It looks like from Eminem's days. We got Soul Intent, which was his first group that he was in. It's incredible. Slim Shady EP, which is the first tape, a CD that I had by Eminem, but this is the tape cassette, which is insane.
That's the demo.
This is the demo.
Unreleased. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
He gave me that.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, he handed this to you.
Yeah.
What happened? He just like tossed it to you, or how'd it happen?
When you want me to tell you the story?
Yeah, I want you to tell me the story. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, we are from the same area. We are from the same circle. So, back in the day, he wasn't Eminem. This stuff was like, when he put this out, nobody wanted it. Nobody would, like, the radio wouldn't play his music. Like, this is like what really happened. Like, so the tapes, he was just passing them out. So how I got that tape, he was we used to hang at Record Time. You hip to Record Time? So we used to hang at Record Time, like, it was a very small circle of hip hop kids in Detroit. So we used to hang at Record Time, and House Shoes worked at Record Time. So we would just go to Record Time and go bug Harry and House Shoes and ask him questions. So M would be there. So, just one of the days he was up there, I just was up there, and he was up there, and he had the tape, and he was like, man, I was telling him I had never heard Infinite. So he was like, man, I'm going to give you Infinite. He kept telling me he's going to give me Infinite when he saw me again. So that day I saw him, this was the in-store copy. He was dropping it off to them, and then he was like, no, Harry, I got to give it to my boy. So he gave it to me, and I kept it forever. I still got it.
Incredible, man.
And he gave me, he gave me this too.
DJ Rec told me that that's kind of how he came across Eminem and that group as well. I don't know if you're familiar with DJ Rec. But he came on, he was saying that he was like these quote unquote Cheddar Bob from 8 Mile.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Did you ever meet DJ Rec?
Nope, I never met DJ Rec, but I saw that a lot of those stories he was telling was straight up true. About the Navarro house, that's straight up true.
Insane.
Yeah, that house, like, it was a few homies that lived at that house. Like Greed lived over there. It was a few homies from, like, and we used to all go to, like, the Wired Frog together, and, like, so it was, the hip hop scene was very small in Detroit. Like, the street rap scene was way bigger, but the hip hop scene, people that was in the hip hop, it wasn't that many of us, so we all congregated at the same open mic night spots, and C-Note Lounge and all these places like this. These are the places where we would all be at.
That's cool, man. We're going to dive into a lot of history today, it sounds like that, man, because we're going back to
you got a historian in here today, man.
Legendary. Let's start off with you, man, talking about where you're from, born and raised.
Born and raised on the east side from Detroit, Michigan. Yep. Born and raised.
When did music become a part of your life?
I mean, music been a part of my life my whole life. I always loved it, but when I fell in love with music, and maybe when I first heard Prince and Rock the City on the radio, that might have been when music probably became a part of my life. When I noticed music, recognized music, knew what I heard, and liked the song. Yeah, it was Prince. It was Erotic City on the radio. Yeah, that was the
Did
first
it get
time.
you to like writing and stuff, or like ad-libbing, or just messing around? Or?
Nope. I didn't like hip hop. It wasn't until hip hop came along that I started like wanting to rap and be a part of music. I didn't want to be a part of music when I heard Prince or Michael Jackson. It was like it wasn't even a thought.
What was your introduction to hip hop?
The Beastie Boys.
Dope.
Yeah, the Beastie Boys, man.
They had like a rock sound, like kind of indie rock, and they mixed it in with
They are near and dear to my heart, bro.
Yeah.
The Beastie Boys, it's an amazing story how they created their album, how they created their first album. Like, this was like before drum machines, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's really crazy how they created their album. But yeah, the Beastie Boys was the first time I heard, like, the Beastie Boys, Def Jam, and Run DMC and all of that. Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Let's get real. You don't know what the hell you're doing as an artist. You have all the talent, a little clout, but no motion. That's because you don't know what the hell you're doing. I know it's harsh, but it's true. That's why we developed the Artist X strategy. It includes one-on-one sessions with hip-hop and entertainment moguls that will walk you through this hurricane we call the entertainment industry. You can receive coaching, music and social media analysis, and networking opportunities. Message kid.l.video on Instagram to learn more. Guys, stop traveling in the wrong direction. With an in-depth analysis, one turn can literally turn your career around.
Yeah.
Beautiful, man. And then when's the first time that you're going like, all right, let me get acquainted with the actual production side of things?
Oh, okay. Well, that started around in the early on before we even go to studios. I was taking making pause tapes, and what that is you would take a tape and push play, and it'll be an instrumental, right? It might be the end of a song you like, right? And you will push play, and you will record it to another cassette, and then you will catch the bar you like, and then you'll do it again, and you'll just keep doing it and keep recording until you got 16 bars or something. So that's how I first started like getting into like liking beats, and I guess we could say liking beats and stuff, but like actually producing was probably like 2000 and maybe like my first project I ever was on and stuff like that was like 99, 2000. So, like around that time, I wouldn't say I was producing. I would say I was making beats just good enough for us to be able to rap on. That's what I feel like at the time. But
who was rapping on the beats?
It was me and a childhood friend. Like, cause I like back in the day, like I came up like when I was young, man, I was the first, so I don't know if you hip to the Ritz, but the Ritz is where like all the rappers used to go, right?
Yeah.
So ICP would be at the Ritz. So way back in the day, man, Esham had like when he first, like I'm talking about like back in the day, we was like kids, and he told us he was gonna let us rap at his show, right? So this was like when he had just put out like
the Red Tape or something?
Nope, this was like Kill the Fetus. You're like 93, Kill the Fetus. So we kids, we like, well, we could rap. So we go to the Ritz to go rap at Esham's show. We don't get to rap. But what does get to happen that day was the dopest thing that happened was I got to be backstage, and we was just in there chilling, and I got to meet ICP, and this was like when they was like they didn't have any makeup on their face or anything, so and they was standing there talking to Esham's brother, and they was asking him could they paint up for the show, and he was like, hell no, y'all can't put no paint on for this show, y'all ain't painting up at our show. And it was just a dope experience for me and like I was there, like Eminem, I'm talking about before I didn't know him, this was like pre-Eminem, like he probably wasn't even really rapping, but this was like way back in the day. Eminem was there, like it was a lot of people in the crowd. Proof was there, Proof and them performed like this, like back in the day Esham was like the biggest thing in Detroit, so right. If he did a show, all the rappers would be at his show. So it was like, and I got to meet ICP at that show, and from there I built a relationship with them because they invited me to their show that they had, the show that they had coming up at the Ritz, the same place. So I'm like, man, I wonder what these white guys, it was like new to me. So I'm like, I'm gonna go check it out. So I came back the next, I don't know, it was maybe like a month later they had a show because they was there to promote their show. And a month later I came back and met Violent J again, Joe. He let me in the show, and from there I built a relationship with them. So from there I was like we went on tour with them and stuff like that. Like ICP put me in the game basically. So
you guys just built like a natural organic relationship by meeting each other at the Ritz, and you guys had such like just a genuine connection enough to just go on the road.
I was I was young, and Violent J was, and he was just, to be honest, yeah, that's what it was. It was like they were just happy to meet somebody that just liked their shit, and it was like, and it was just dope. I like they shit. Like, and then from that show that Esham had that day, I think they had passed out some tapes or something that day or something like that. So I was listening to their shit after that. So after that, when I went back when we went to go see them the next time when they had the show the next month, it was dope. Like I had heard their music, I knew their music, and we had seen Joe, and he was just so happy to see that we had actually came back to the show. We literally were the only black people at the show, bro. Literally.
For ICP?
Yeah, there was no other black people there. Like ICP wasn't a black. It was like not a hood. It wasn't like, no, it wasn't that. So it was like we was the only black people in this whole place, and it was all white people. And it was but it was dope because it was a new experience for me because it was even my first time going to hip hop shows. The first time was going to the Esham show. So the second time was ICP show, and they spraying fucking Fago everywhere and shit. So it's like,
damn,
yeah, brand new, and it's like, yeah, it was
the
just
Juggalo
brand new.
scene in Detroit, like a Detroit cat and the Juggalo scene, is kind of an odd combination, right?
Yeah, it was odd, but it was my, Joe and it was my homies. Like,
what was your craziest experience when you guys were on a tour together with ICP?
We had a whole bunch of fun on tour with them, man. Like, we got to tour with ICP, I got to tour with Esham, like all of the psychopathic guys.
What was the craziest part about like the whole tour with them though? Like with the ICP, was there anything like stood out where it's like, what the hell is that even happening right now?
Honestly, man, it was inspiring to be on tour with them. Like, they were like gods, bro. Like, to see, like, that was the first time to see people with real fans. Like, they got real fans. Like, this is like before hip hop. Detroit didn't have a fan base. It wasn't really a fan base of people that was listening to Detroit music. Like, it's a lot of people that talk about, albums and people that was making music back in the day, but nobody talks about who was actually selling records back in the day. Right. Nobody was selling these records, bro. They was making these CDs and stuff and these tapes, but they weren't selling them. I think Esham was selling records. Like, let me tell you something, bro. Like, a lot of people don't talk about this, but Esham opened up the doorway to Detroit music, like, straight up. Like, because before Esham, there was no like, people wasn't like riding around listening to Detroit rap like that for real. Now, you had like songs that was like on the box and stuff like that, and we had our artists we like Detroit's Most Wanted and stuff like that. But like, Esham brought the suburban. He brought that to Detroit. He opened that whole thing up. Eminem will tell you that. Esham opened that up because once he opened up and brought all people outside of Detroit to hear Detroit, because he was, people thought it was a negative thing, but he was rapping about the devil. But it also happened to be, it was rock and roll and all this other shit that, that the suburban people like. So it opened up a whole new world, a fan base of people checking for Detroit and listening to Detroit music. Yeah, that changed everything.
For sure. Like, he broke it open with the horrorcore kind of genre. Horrorcore wasn't even really like that deep of a thing, right?
Nah.
And then he broke it open, and then obviously even Eminem, he said he was inspired by Esham.
Yeah, like, he even said he was a cross between Esham, Ozzy, and somebody else. Yeah. Like, he was an inspiration when we was coming up, straight up. Like, he was like a kid doing that shit. Like, he was like probably a couple of years older than us, and his brother and them had, like, they had, and my family was like closely knit to that whole situation too. So that was another thing. Me and him was from the same neighborhood and stuff like that. So
wow. So yeah, you were surrounded around what the real underground hip hop scene was in Detroit at that time, right?
Yeah.
Because you didn't really have anybody getting signed to major deals except for, like, I think Awesome Dre was the first group to actually get signed by a major label. But other than that, there wasn't too many crazy deal signings happening. Like, Prince Vincent stuff was breaking out.
Nope.
But like, to say that somebody made it from Detroit, from rap and hip hop, was a hard thing to say, right?
Yeah. It was unheard of. Like, and honestly, like, to be honest, like, those other people, like Prince Vincent and them, but for real, it was Boss. Boss is who put Detroit on the map, bro. Boss. The rapper Boss, she put Detroit on the map. Yeah, the female rapper Boss. She also put Carhartt on the map. Like, everybody wearing Carhartt today, Boss was the first person to wear Carhartt. We never saw anybody wear Carhartt. Like, that wasn't a... But see, the other thing was, we didn't know Boss was from Detroit. When we first saw her, we all thought she was from the West Coast. So the whole Carhartt and all that, we didn't even know Carhartt was a Detroit thing. I'm keeping it real with you. Like, we didn't know that was a Detroit thing back in the, like, early 90s. We didn't know that was like a Detroit thing. Boss was the person that introduced that. So Boss was really the first artist from Detroit that we all recognized, because listen, Def Jam was the biggest thing in the world. Like, Def Jam was like, it was nothing bigger than Def Jam. You know what I'm saying? So, and Boss being on Def Jam and being from Detroit, that was like, it was nothing bigger than that to us. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And she was the person that, she was the, she was the, and she was the first, she was the first one. Like, for real.
When you're watching these cats all come up, you're surrounded by them, ICP, Eminem, D12,
Esham and everybody all circulating at the same time, is it what they say it is as far as the hip hop shop, and there's people going in there freestyling, killing each other in the freestyles and going crazy and really just evolving themselves in hip hop nonstop? Like you work, it's work hip hop. Was it really like that? Or was it kind of like stretches of time where like you guys would meet up at the hip hop shop from time to time and there'd be these cool ass moments or whatever, but it was never like consistently there?
Yeah. So the hip hop shop and that whole hip hop era, like, so that's another thing. Like I was just saying, my family is tied into that. My cousin Cheese, my cousin Pat, he was the host of the hip hop shop. He was the person that was hosting the hip hop shop when Eminem was there and stuff. So, but it was a small window of time that it happened, but it was never a big thing. It was never really big. Like it was only a small pocket of people. It's just like right now today. It's only a small pocket of people that's into hip hop in Detroit. Like the kind of music that I make and me and Sean and you know, and Dylan, all that type of shit that we do. Like it's not a lot of us. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, you know, that's how we was all able to really carve our niche out in you know, in the world.
Where did you go after the tour was over with ICP? What was the next move for you?
Well, after I was touring with ICP and rocking with Psychopathic, the next thing I did was that's when I started producing, because I was rapping and producing, but then Violent J asked me to be the it was a new character, because Psychopathic creates characters on their label, like wrestling. That like so that's how Violent J do. He'll create a character like, yo, I got this character and and you know. So he asked me to do the character, and I was just kind of like, I can't do no characters, Joe. I'm from the east side of Detroit, bro. I can't do that. So me and him laughed about it. He was like, yeah, I feel you, you know, like he called me Pip. That's how long I've been knowing him. But anyway, so it was but what I did next was, because the guy who I was rapping with, my partner, he didn't really want to rap. So like touring and all that, he didn't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? That was that was my thing. So I didn't want to rap by myself. So what I did next was I was like, well, I'm gonna produce. So I just invested in just being a producer. I just put all my everything into producing. I was always super dope at rapping and writing and all that. So I always had that. So that's how I got nominated for like a Grammy and all that. It's because of my writing and stuff like that. But so I always had that, but producing, I just was like, oh, I need to have something where I can, you know, and produce. I always had a love for production and the sound, and I always just had a love for it, you know, like I just always had an interest in it. I just read the books and the credits since I was a kid. So when it was when I made that decision, I was like, all right, I'm gonna make beats. So, you know, so what I started doing was I started making beats, you know. My cousin Street Lord Wine, him and Kid, and they was working on K Deezy's album at the time. Matter of fact, K Deezy's album had just got done.
What year are we talking about?
Like 05, 06.
Okay.
Yeah, like around that time. And I remember the funniest thing happened. Like the first time I came to my cousin and played him some beats, he was like, oh no, cuz you ain't ready. And I was crushed. I was so pissed. Like, so I'm like, man, and you know, he playing me all this stuff from Kid, and I'm like, and Hella and all this shit. I'm like, yeah, I'm not ready. And I just wasn't ready. So, but you know, it helped me pick my direction, because after that I was like, I just picked my direction and created my sound, and I really sat down and just really like for years and just really crafted a sound that was all my own.
So you took it to Juan, and Juan was like, no, basically. For Detroit rap sound, he probably was like, this doesn't work with my sound particularly.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah, like the first beats I played him, like when the first time, he's like, let me hear what you've been working on. And I played it. He was like, yeah, cuz these ain't it. And yeah, they probably wasn't it. But yeah, that was funny though. That was a motivating moment though, because you know, I live to be like, all right, I'm gonna make you wish you had said that.
Right.
You know, so when I came back, the next time I came back and pushed play, and that's what was so surprising to me. That was like the very next time I played beats for him, he was acting like they was the greatest beats he ever heard, and I'm like, I couldn't have. graduated that fast. But yeah,
It can happen though, right?
Yeah, it was that fast. But I was determined. It was also my equipment because I first started out with I had a keyboard. I had a Roland Phantom X7, and I still got it. So I was making all my beats on the keyboard. So I don't know if you know, but they sounded like a keyboard. Maybe that's what it was. So
Like
but
those cheesy keyboard notes, right?
yeah. But the Roland is great. So I knew after that, after me and him had that conversation, and me just going to the studio with Kid and just being in the studio and I saw what he was saying because Kid was not playing. He had a big ass 48 track board in there and shit. I was like, oh yeah, but right after that, I got an MPC, and that changed my life when I got an MPC 4000. So I sat down with the MPC and that just became my best friend, and I just was on it and sitting down with it every day from the time I woke up to the time I went to sleep, and that's how I just crafted my sound. And within 7 years, I was getting placed. With 5 to 7 years, I was getting placements and shit.
What was your first big placement?
Slaughterhouse.
Wow.
No, the first placement was Royce the 5'9". Royce had he was doing this series, the Bar Exam series, and Bar Exam 2. I got to be on Bar Exam 2, and it was big because it was like the number one mixtape of that year, and and at that time Royce was like, it was like he was like a monster, you know what I'm saying? So he was like, at that time Royce was like, one of the biggest rappers on the underground scene. Everybody was like looking at Royce and just checking for what he was doing. And the bar exams that the first one he put out went so crazy. So he was putting out these bar exam series, and it was just so much steam behind it. So me being on the bar exam 2, that was my first. It wasn't a major placement, but it was like my first. It was a mixtape, but it was like the East Coast heard me. Like it was a lot of magazines. Started. I started blogs. Started checking for me. So yeah,
I'm assuming Juan helped make the connection because I know at that time they were working together, right?
Yeah, yup. Him and Royce was like they was like best friends. So they was like brothers. So Juan used to always be like, man, Royce needs you. I need to introduce you to Royce. He used to always say that. Like, Royce needs your beats. And then one day we was mixing one album at the studio at Audio Magic, and Royce had just came home, and he was like, go pick Royce up from the airport. And I just went to go pick him. I knew it was his plan to just put us together. So I went to pick Royce up, and me and Royce, I went to pick him up, and we just in the car just riding quiet. Because, Royce is quiet, and Royce just don't talk of that. So when he first meet you, so he ain't talking, he just saying, and I just was playing beats. And by the time we got to the studio, back to the spot, Royce was talking to me like, oh yeah, cuz, he liked the beat. So, and from there, me and Royce had been rocking that, from that moment on.
Legendary. So you and Royce are collaborating and working together when he's doing the series. What steps did you take yourself next? Because now you're working with a mainstream artist, and you have the accolades now to kind of prove yourself to break into new doors, right?
Yeah.
Was that when Slaughterhouse came through? Yep,
that's when Slaughterhouse came through. Royce started working with Slaughterhouse.
And that's a byproduct of like Eminem's situation, right?
Yeah, before. They had put Slaughterhouse together before. Because Slaughterhouse was a song of Joe Budden's. Joe Budden had a song that he wanted to put, the Podfather. He wanted to put a song together called Slaughterhouse. So he had got Royce, Crooked, Joel Ortiz, and Crooked Eye. He had got all them on it, and then the song came out so good that they just decided to just, Royce and them, they just all decided to just make it a group. So they made it a group, and they just kept pushing, kept on pushing. And, they was making so much noise, they had got signed to E1, and a record had came out, the record that that's the record I was on. It had did so good that Eminem came knocking, and he was like, he wanted to sign Slaughterhouse. So that's how they wind up over there with Eminem, though.
It's incredible. So you were a part of this process of making sounds and putting together beats for them, right?
Yep. I worked with Slaughterhouse, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
And then Eminem signs the group.
Yep.
Which is incredible, right? So how did that change your life?
To tell you the truth, I wasn't paying attention to I wasn't really paying attention to what it was doing for me on the internet, because I wasn't on the internet for real. So I didn't really pay attention to it. So for me, it was just like, all right, well, I ain't making like a whole bunch of money from doing it, but I did get paid though. So it was dope though. I did get paid.
You had to get paid.
Oh yeah, I definitely got paid. Royce and Keno made sure I got paid for sure. But I did get paid. But it was just like, so for me, it was just like, I was just working, you know what I'm saying? I was just trying to, make my, but it was definitely dope, because the beat that I made for the beat that I made, I only gave Royce the one beat. I sent him that one song, and he went crazy over it, and he freaked out. He never told me this. Like, his brother told me this. Like, his brother had to tell me, like, man, he went crazy when he heard that beat. So when he called me, he's like super calm, like, oh yeah, I just rapped over that beat you said. So, but it was super dope. Like, incredible. And it was like, and then when Slaughterhouse and I got to meet Joe Budden and all of them was just like, they loved the song. And Crooked Eye was telling me, like, it was the first song he ever cried real tears writing the song to. He wrote a song about it. Was like, his verse was about his auntie, and it was just it was deep, it was dope, it was like oh yeah, I'm here, like, wow, yeah, it was
incredible, man.
Yeah, bro, like for that class of rappers to rap on my beat, it was like no other producers on there, it was just me, and yeah, man, it was I felt like I arrived, like, yeah, I did it, like, yeah.
Yeah, because you're aligned with the best of the best, right?
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
You can only be there if you're one of them.
Yeah, the Nine's on that album. Only the best producers is on that album. So, yeah. So, and when I met Denine, he didn't even know I was from Detroit. Like, he just was like, I didn't know you was from Detroit. I met him at Guitar Center. We just ran into each other at the Guitar Center. And he was like, you from Detroit? And I'm like, yeah, born and raised, and and then but I had been knowing who Denine was forever. Denine is a legend.
Yeah, man. I mean, the whole group, right?
Yeah,
like,
bro.
Everybody that came out of that group did something. I think they're still on tour now, right? Aren't they?
Yeah, man. They that was the first group to really make a splash for Detroit, for real. D12, they made, it's not a lot. It's not a lot that people don't talk about it a lot, but they did a lot. They went double platinum 2 times. So D12 did great.
Did you have any ears to the streets when those things were happening, like when D12 was dropping, when Eminem's dropping at that time, or were you so focused on what you had going on that it was just kind of like tunnel vision?
Yeah, when they was dropping, of course, yeah, I was paying attention to everything, because so me and M was my homie. So what happened was, like, right before he went to LA, and before right
before Rap Olympics,
yeah, right before, it was like right before he went for good.
Oh, okay.
So we was going to. So this is how I met Eminem. I met Eminem through the Juggalo scene. Like, that's what a lot of people don't know. Eminem was a Juggalo too. We all was Juggalos. We all love ICP. Like, we all love ICP, dog. So anyway, this is how I met M. I was at a House of Crazies show. You know who the House of Crazies are?
I haven't heard of that.
Okay, the House of Crazies are.
Can you pull that microphone towards you?
Oh yeah, my bad. About right here.
Yeah, you can tilt it, grab the mic and tilt it towards your face. To the left, yep, there you go.
Right here?
Yep.
All right, my bad.
Yep.
Okay, so House of Crazies is, let me get this right. So you ever heard of Twisted?
Yeah.
Okay, Twisted.
Yeah.
House of Crazies is Twisted.
Okay.
So Twisted used to be, before Twisted went to ICP and got signed to Psychopathic, the name of the group was House of Crazies.
Okay.
So it was 3 of them. Like I told you, we all from the same area. We all came up together. So it was 3 of them. So they used to be. So one of their cousins was Evil, who was another legendary Detroit rapper. Shout out to my guy Evil. So that was their cousin. House of Crazies winded up signing to the two of them wind up signing the ICP, and one of them didn't. I forgot why I was even bringing up House of Crazy. So
you guys were all juggalos?
Oh yeah, so we was at a House of Crazy show. This was before the House of Crazy before Twisted signed to ICP. So we was at a House of Crazy show and the all three was together. So we go to a House of Crazy show at St. Andrews, and it's like, it ain't that many people there. It's like super empty. Just keeping it real. Like this is footage on the internet. It's like it's humble beginnings, bro. But this was so crazy though. That's the type of stuff that they were doing back then. Like the independent artists in Detroit back then, they rented out St. Andrews and was doing their own show way back in the 90s. Yeah, bro. Like, so anyway, and they had a few opening acts, and it was this light-skinned guy, and he had a towel over his head, and he was doing this song, and it was like and I just never heard anybody rapping like that before. And he had two guys on the stage with him, and I was like, man, I never heard anybody rap like this before. So after the light skin got done rapping, I come down because I was in the rafters looking down at him. So I come down because he walking through the thing. So I come down to come meet him, and I realize it's a white person. And it's Eminem. And I'm like, this is a white person rapping like this? So he like, yeah, I'm Eminem. And I meet him, and and then me and him kicking it. So what happened was, it was this chick, right? It was this chick, this badass chick that I was trying to get on. So she was like not that far from us. So I'm like trying to go talk to her, and she like dissed me for him. She like, no, I want to talk to the other guy. And I'm like, what? So I do what a real player do. I plug her up. I plug it in. I'm like, hey, my bad. So I'm like, hey, my man, So I introduce him to her, and and whatever. They talk, and me and him become friends from there. Like me and him become homies from there. So from there we become homies. So we hit open mic nights and stuff like that together. Like basically, and back in the day when we was all coming up, like, only the dusty broke East Side kids gonna know about this. But back in the day when we was coming up, and this is how what we would do, we would walk around Eastland, because Eastland, like we didn't have, it was nothing else for us to do. So we would walk around Eastland and get on the chicks. That's what we would do. So I would see Eminem. I would go to Eastland, and me and my friends might be in there, and then he'd be in there, but he'd be by himself with nobody. So sometimes I might be in there by myself too, with nobody. Like I'd be in there too by myself. So we'd see each other, and then we'll wind up walking around and maybe go in the record store and look at CDs and talk about. So that's how we started, like building up but see, at the time I had songs I had recorded before, but I wasn't a rapper or a producer. So when me and M was cool, I was just his homie that he knew rap, but he'd be like, man, you need to rap more. You should rap more. And I would just be like, oh yeah. And he'd ask me to come to the studio and stuff like that. And I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna come up there. And this was like when they had the studio on 8 Mile, but
wow.
I would never go. You know about the studio he had on 8 Mile?
The one in the basement, Navarro?
No, he had a studio. They used to have the Bass Brothers had a studio on 8 Mile.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know the Bass Brothers.
The wooden studio with the wooden door? Mm-mm. Yeah, it's a studio there. That used to be him, and that's where he was at. That's where they used to record at. All that. Everything. Like, yeah. I told you, y'all got a real historian in here, man. Like,
so you guys recorded with the Bass Brothers, you and Eminem, and obviously Bass Brothers produced a lot of
him, not me. He was. Not him, but he was. Yeah. He was asking me to come to the studio, but I just didn't go. I never would go because I wasn't really ready to rap and stuff for real. I was just like, we would just go to open mic nights and stuff like that, but I wasn't. But
you guys were just like friends.
But this what I'm gonna tell you. That's where I learned the biggest lesson from, because from that moment on, after that, I was like, I'll never not be ready again. Because what happened was, right, in the middle of us being homies, and, he had come over my crib. Like, he came over my crib at 8 before, and my auntie and them would bring this up to me all the time. It was like, probably to piss me off. They were like, you talk to your friend Eminem that came over at 8. They used to bring this up for 20 years straight. They would bring up that he came over at 8 at our house one time. Anyway.
What'd they serve him?
I don't know what he ate, but it was like he just came over and my auntie was cooking and he was like, it just smelled good, and he got a plate. That's the kind of family I got.
Dope.
That's the kind of family I got. So at the time, like, so he we would be over there just freestyling and shit in the car, little shit like that. So anyway, what happened was when he got his when he got his time to when he was going to go to LA, we were supposed to go to the open mic night that Saturday. He never came. So he called me the next morning on Sunday. And he was like, man, I'm sorry about last night. I know I stood you up. My bad. He's like, but I'm about to go to LA. I'm about to go to LA and I'm about to promote my album from LA all the way back to Detroit. And he's like, if I don't get signed by the time I get back, I'm gonna quit rapping. And I'm like, man, you ain't gonna quit rapping. And we just was talking, but because his time was hard here. He had a hard time here. They hated his music here. The radio station, Billy T told Eminem, and it's not many people that know the story. Billy T from the radio station told Eminem it was the worst music he ever heard. Eminem know that. Know.
Well,
he told him it was the worst thing he ever heard.
Remember when he went on the Howard Stern show and they were like calling him a one-hit wonder and all these types of things?
Bro.
Like just defiant, like just making him look like a failure, basically.
Yeah, bro. It was definitely hard. So for me, but anyway, long story short, he left to go to LA, and I never ever talked to him again after that. And he became a superstar, and I just got to see that happen, and so I got to watch it, and it was, for me, I was like, man, I'll never not be ready again. So from that moment on, I got my equipment and all that shit.
The underground, like I know the underground were just in different times of when the underground was happening prolifically, but at your time, the behind the scenes, everybody that's involved in the entertainment scene. Mm-hmm. How did they treat Eminem? The people who were in the entertainment scene in the underground, did they treat him with respect and regard? Did they put him on a pedestal, or did they dismiss him?
They dismissed him. Dismissed him. Me and Cuz laugh about when he came to the C-No Lounge. When he came to C-No Lounge, they was ready to jump him at C-No Lounge. That's how mad they was. They was they just was on that. Yeah, he wasn't really accepted. He was super dope. The first time that the Street Lords heard Eminem, they heard him through me. Because from this tape right here, I took this tape. This is how legendary this is. I took this tape. I told Juan about this tape, dog, and Blade. I'm telling y'all about Eminem.
You told Blade? I swear about Eminem?
Yeah, Blade and Juan. So we went. So when we went over to Art House, I went up. They was at the studio. They had a session at Art Crib at the studio, and I went over there, and everybody was in the basement, and I put this tape on.
What'd they say?
Everybody was blown away. Everybody was like, damn. When it went off, everybody was just like, damn, dog, damn. And then Juan just was like, I told y'all, cause nobody had this tape. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't it was everywhere in the city. Everybody didn't have it. What that story my man was telling you, that's how he told y'all they was recording over him. It wasn't a sought after. Nobody gave a fuck, bro. Straight up.
With you knowing, this is the last question I'll ask about it, because I know we got to get back to, I want to talk about you and your lineage, because I know we got a lot to cover with that. But when it comes to Eminem and the scene not approving of him totally, besides obviously the D12 and the guys at the hip hop shop and whatnot, there's a huge shadow that everybody talks about where they say, well, Eminem's not doing enough for the music scene in Detroit right now, in this time, in this era right now. Do you even though he has, obviously, he worked with Big Herc, he worked with Trick, he's done a lot, Obi Trice, people like that, he's helped build out Royce, and all these people he's helped work with, but people saying he's not here now. Do you think it has anything to do with what you're saying as far as him being dismissed by the scene itself, or do you think it has nothing to do with any of that? Maybe
I think in the beginning, cause this ain't a new conversation. They were saying that back in the day too. So, but it was but Detroit is made up of two different sides though. You know what I'm saying? You had the street music and then you had the hip hop, and he was on the hip hop side of music and he wasn't really on this side. So, back in the day, so let me say this, back in the day, it was completely segregated. The hip hop dudes did not fuck with the street rappers. This how it was. It was completely segregated. That's why you don't hear Jay Dilla with no street. Like you don't. That's why you don't hear that. It was completely segregated. Really in Detroit, it was segregated. Like they didn't cross. We didn't really cross paths really. So that's why I was like, that was one of the things I looked at when I made my sound and stuff.
Sure. When you when Slaughterhouse is happening and you're a part of the sounds and everything that's going on with that, you're obviously again establishing yourself to a high volume because you're being recognized as part of a group that's signed to Eminem and everything like that, but also with the people a part of it. What's the next big move for you? How did you evolve yourself from that point?
After that, I just kept making music. I kept making music. Of course, I dropped a few freestyles over some beats, and then I started going downtown to the studio with my uncle Paul Hill. I started going downtown to the studio downtown called, I can't think of the name of it right now, Harmony Park. I started going down to Harmony Park, working out of there, and he is like a R&B funk. He from that era, he's a part of Parliament Funkadelic with George Clinton and all that.
Sick.
Yeah. So I started going down there with him and just got opened up to a whole different world. And they just was like, they really liked my drum programming, and they liked it, like this new fresh hip hop they liked that. So I started going down there messing with them, and started working with them. And then, and from there he would introduce me to all type of funk legends and just, and I started working with Amp Fiddler from there, and I met Amp. Amp is like an uncle to me. Like, me and Amp was super close. Like, so, those guys like just embraced me.
What was your time with Amp like? Like, what'd you guys do together?
Me and Amp worked on stuff together. Me and Amp was like friends. I was like his little brother, nephew. Like, me and Amp was close. Like, me and Amp was like, we had borrowed $10 when we broke from each other, that type of shit. Like, me and Amp is my guy. Like, I love Amp. Like, yeah, man. I miss Amp. That was my guy. I was just thinking about him earlier today. Like, whenever new product come out, I miss him because me and him would talk about it,
Sorry, man. It's tough.
Yeah.
Obviously, he stamped his sound in Detroit, and they said he was very intricate with how he developed the sounds. Did you get to spend time with Jay Dilla? Did you get to work with him at all?
No, never met Dilla. I never met Jay Dilla, but I met a lot of people around Dilla, and I never got to meet Jay Dilla though. But Amp and Paul and all them, they would always talk about Dilla because they had such a good relationship with him. And I met a lot of people that knew Dilla, but I never got a chance to meet Dilla, man. Like, I wanted to, though. I almost met him one time. I almost went to a party he threw at his house one time, and I was this close to going. But the people who I was with, they backed out at the last minute and they didn't want to go. And I wanted to go so bad, but I didn't want to show them that I was fanning out to go meet Dilla because they would have been clowning me. So I was like, oh, yeah. I had to fake like I ain't care. But, man, I wanted to go meet Dilla so bad. Yeah, dog.
I know you worked with Big Sean, man, and obviously that's one of the longest running artists from the old time to the new time. His legacy and what he's created has been everlasting so far. What was it like meeting Big Sean and starting to work with him?
Man, meeting Sean was amazing, dog. Big Sean is my guy, dog. Meeting Sean was it was brand new because it was different from anything I had ever been doing before. So when I met Sean, he was like the first person to really like take my advice and really take it to heart. Like, like people took my advice, but like he was like, I named him Sean Don. You know what I'm saying? He was down to take that name and be cool with it. Like we would be in the studio, I would, work on bars and stuff like that with him. I was the only person that was allowed to be in the studio that wasn't a part of his camp. Wow. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, me and Sean, we got a tight relationship. Like he would go to Kanye and then call me like, man, I said that line you said and Kanye like your raps. He would always call me and be like, Kanye like the beat you made. Like Sean, yeah, man. Sean is a good guy, man. Like he was, and I want to say this about him. He was one of the first people I ever seen like like that. Like I never seen somebody like wanna do something and then do it. That shit was crazy to why he like was like filthy. Like I know we didn't watch them do it now, but I'm talking about before it all happened. He was like, man, I'm telling you, filthy, watch me. And I was like, just like, all right, Sean. And he was like, I'm telling you, bro, you never seen it before. And he just, and we just talk about it. But Sean was cool. You know, we used to be at the Coney and shit together. Yeah, that's my guy, dog.
And you named him Sean Don?
Yeah, like Sean. We was in the studio, and I'm always trying to make some shit better. So I'm like, so I was like, Sean, dog, you know, I was like, you know, when you know, you always say good at the beginning of his raps. He would always be like good. So I was like, you gotta have something to say. And he was like, well, I can't call myself big because of Biggie. And I was like, right. And I was like, you gotta come up with a name. And he was like, yeah. So it was me, him, and some other people in the studio. So we sitting there and I was like, I'm good at that. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah. So we all got quiet. And then I said, I got it. And I was like, Sean Don Perignon. And then he sat there. And then he jumped up out of his seat and started screaming. Sean is not this kind of person. So I'm telling you some like shit that like only me and him and the people that's in our circle know. He jumped up out of his seat and started screaming at the top of his lungs, and he ran out the studio and he was running around like, oh my God. And he just was going crazy about it, and he just couldn't believe, he just was like super happy about it. So yeah, Sean Don Perignon, I was like, because of the style, because of the clothing, and you know, and he just loved it. And I'm so proud to see what he has done. Like, yeah, man, I'm too proud to see what Sean has become and done. Like, you know, he the dude who I would play my beats for. That I remember sending beats to like the beat. Okay, I'm gonna tell you this. Here's the insight. The beat that I gave to Sean, I had sent it already to like semi-famous rappers from Detroit. They like passed on it. Wow. He immediately got it. Which beat were people passing up? Celebrity. The beat I did for Sean was Celebrity, and Kanye fell in love with it, and they was promoting it on Facebook, and it just was big. It was like that song. It was big. Matter of fact, to tell you the truth, that song was, and that's why that song like saved Sean's like album, because he was going through a lot of turmoil with that record. You know, like when he was about to come out, like he told a story about him, like the advance he got from Kanye, and man, that whole situation was crazy. He almost got dropped from Def Jam at that time. Wow. When we had met him. Yeah, he was about to get dropped from Def Jam.
And you feel like that song is the one that kind of
song, it was one of the strongest songs he had. He got interviews on the internet where he does interviews where he talk about his favorite song on his album, on Finally Famous, his debut album was.
And now is that where you get the double platinum from? Like that's where your credit for it comes from?
Yep, that's where the double platinum.
Is there anything else that's come even close to it?
No. Matter of fact, no, I just told a lie. I'm sorry. That's platinum. We just went platinum. Okay. That album just went platinum. Matter of fact, I gotta get my plaque, and I gotta get my plaque.
Is that your first platinum plaque?
Yep, that was my first platinum plaque. Incredible. My double platinum plaque come from Mercy, Kanye West Mercy.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
Incredible. How did you get into working with Kanye?
Working with Sean, still working with Sean. You know what I'm saying? Like, just having great connections with people that's willing to open the door and say your name in them rooms. Like I told you, he always would talk about like I had dope bars and stuff like that. And you know, like I got to contribute to the song.
Was he easy to work with? Was Kanye easy as far as just like being in the studio with him and just like figuring things out together?
Kanye is super dope. Now, I had met Kanye before I met Sean though.
Wow.
So I had met Kanye before. So I got this keyboard. It's called an ASR 10. It's a legendary keyboard. It's the kind of keyboard that Kanye make beats on. So when Kanye was in Detroit at one point in time. So he was in Detroit, and he was working with Lupe Fiasco, and they went to the studio, and they was working on a song at the studio in Detroit. They was working at the studio called Audio Magic. Now, my friends from Audio Magic used to always call me, and people would rent my equipment from me, like, cause I got the MPC 4000. I got so people would rent people would come to town, and record companies will rent my equipment from me, like, yo, and my friends from Audio Magic would call me and yo, Filthy. So they called me and was like, yo, we got Kanye here. We want to rent your ASR 10. And I rented my ASR 10, and I got to meet Kanye that day. Wow. That day I got to meet him, and it was dope. I didn't get to be, they didn't let me stay for the studio session though. He didn't let me stay for the whole session, but I got to come to the session and meet him, and they was like eating chicken and pizza and shit. And he had porn on, which was weird.
What?
Yeah, he had porn on.
What kind?
Yeah, I don't know, but he had porn. He just had porn on.
Just regular stuff though.
Yeah, it was just like I just seen it was porn. I'm like, damn, like it just threw me off. Like, what the fuck? It was like it just threw me off. But when I met Sean, and when we got warm and got cool and we got super cool, I told him about it. I never told him about that before though. So one day I brought it up, and I was like, hey, dude, I was like, so he was talking about Kanye in the studio, because he would always tell all these stories, because Sean would go and like do all this super industry shit for the weekend, and then come back, and we'd just be sitting around talking about all this fun, dope shit he did. And then one day I just cracked on him and was like, do Kanye be watching porn? And he was like, what? He was like, why you ask me that? How you know about that? And then it was just so funny. We just all laughing, because he just didn't. He was just like, how you know about that? But yeah, because when he was that's how I knew. That was like years ago when he was in the studio working on it. And matter of fact, the beat he made with my keyboard was Good Morning.
No way.
Yeah, he made Good Morning. Matter of fact, we went to the record store and got the records. When we went record shopping, I got to go record shopping with them, and he went to Merry Melodies that was right on Gratiot and 9 Mile, and then they ordered chicken and pizza and all this, and yeah, I got to yep. He went and bought the records. And,
so he rented that keyboard from you.
Yep.
To make.
I still got the check to this day. I made probably like $100 or some shit.
Oh, you gave him the equipment for $100. And
Yeah,
you made
like
the song
yeah.
that went like probably how crazy did that song go? Probably like what?
It went
10
stupid.
times.
Yeah,
10
stupid.
times play.
But I was just so happy to like
that's crazy.
yeah, bro. Kanye. Really,
But you guys got to work together too, anyway, right? So
Yeah. I wound up working with him. Yeah, Kanye. I wind up meeting him like straight up like some years later, like straight up walked up and met him, and he was like, "Yo, I know, he already knew who I was and everything." Like, cause see, I had met him. Like Sean had called me on the phone to talk to him one time, because when him and Jay-Z was working on Watch the Throne, Sean had called me to talk to him on the phone, because he was like, he had liked my beats, and he was like, man, I love your beats. I need you to send me some beats for Watch the Throne. So I sent him some beats for Watch the Throne, and oh my God, bro, it was the most heartbreaking thing that happened. So I sent him beats for Watch the Throne, and like I'm waiting to hear back about the beats, and dog, I see a fucking ad for Watch the Throne, and I'm like, what? It's an ad? Oh my God. So I called Sean, and at the time, if anybody remember, Watch the Throne came out like right after Sean's album. Sean's album came out, and then Watch the Throne, one of them came out before the other one, but it was like not that much. So Sean was like in the middle of running around the country promoting his album and stuff. So me and him talked, and he was like, man, I'm sorry. He was like, we was in the studio the other night, and Kanye was trying to download the beats, but they wasn't downloading to his laptop. And I was like, Sean, why you ain't call me? I was mad as hell at Sean, but
man,
yeah.
Your history with music is so incredible, man. I know we're gonna have to do a part 2 for sure. We're gonna have to get you back on the couch and do a part 2 to this.
Yeah,
this
bro.
Is a lot to unpack, man. You have so much history in the game.
I didn't even tell you about working with George Clinton and all of that.
Oh man, that's I'm still trying to meet George Clinton to this damn day. Man.
Oh yeah,
Knee
he was
Deep
just
is
here
one of
the
my
other
favorite
day.
songs. He's out here.
Man, what? He was just here. He did a show.
I play Knee Deep probably like once a week when I'm cleaning up my room.
Listen,
at least
you gotta go to the show. You have to go see the mothership, bro. You gotta go. You gotta go one time, bro.
Listen, we're gonna make it happen. Is there anything you want to promote before we sign off? Is there anything particular coming up?
Oh yeah, you know what? The one thing I want to promote. I know I didn't get to talk about my clothing, my line. This is
this is the clothing line right here.
Yeah, yep. I own the trademark to What Up Though.
Oh my God, so there's another brand obviously that I wore that has What Up Though, but they spelled the WOGH. Yeah.
Yeah.
My bad. I don't want to bring that up. I know.
Oh
you-
no.
yeah,
It's all good. It's all good because I own the WHATUPDOE. Like, and I don't know what other people doing with the mother spellings because that's the way we spell it in Detroit.
Thanks.
So, yeah, man. This is my 10th year of What Up Though, of the brand and the trademark of What Up Though. I got a contract with the Pistons, and this the Detroit flag. We promoting the flag because it's almost Detroit Day is coming up next month.
3 month 3.
So yep. I started out of Revive, selling the Detroit flag. That's how I started my brand, out of Revive. So just a little bit about the brand. And
how can people get this hat?
filthyamericans.com. I used to be in stores, but I took it out of store. I only was in one store and I took it out. But I'm about to put it back in stores. I'm about to spread the brand all through stores. Filthyamericans.com, because I had my own space, Filthy Americans Arts and Cultural Preservation Center, and we just closed it because it was in a new center area over there by Henry Ford, and they just doing so much like building around there. They shut down all traffic over there. So
hopefully we can spark it back up, man, because it is a hell of a slogan for Detroit, right? What Up Though is like the most said shit. I say that to my girlfriend. She's starting to get mad at me. She's like, you don't say What Up Though to your girlfriend, all right? You say that to your friend. I'm like, yeah, well, fucking up.
What Up Though, man? It's a term of endearment. It means so much, man. From Detroit, to me, What Up Though is like from Detroit with love. Like I trademarked From Detroit with Love too. Like, so like that's what it is. What Up Though is not just words. It's like a term of endearment. It's when you see somebody and they say What Up Though, it's like, how's everything going?
How you doing?
How's your life going? How's your mom doing? How's your job doing? That's what Up Though is for us. Like, yeah, I had just recently did an interview with the Urban League for being one of the I don't know what it is, but I know but it was about something being one of the few black people to trademark a slogan. So the National Urban League came here and interviewed me about it. So I was
this is one of the only things from a black owner that's a slogan that's copyrighted, kind of, or that's
yeah. I didn't know that.
So
but they came and interviewed me about it, and I was like, wow, like, yeah,
incredible, man.
Yeah.
Incredible. We're definitely gonna have to do a part 2, man. Unpack more of the story and get back into this.
I want to come back. I want to do the music reviews with you. I see Sada doing them, and it was dope. I want to do the music reviews.
We're starting it back up really soon, actually.
Come on, man. Let me be a part of the music reviews.
Filthy, man. It was legendary having you on.
Definitely, man. It was great meeting you, bro.
Yeah, we're gonna do this again. I promise you, within the next couple months, we're gonna have you back on and unpack part 2. We're at Parallel Sound Studio, High Level Visual Studios Productions. We're out. Peace.
Yeah, peace.
Fire, man.